Well, MJ fam, we had an absolute historic day today with regards to German legalization. This is huge for the industry and couldn't have came at a better time. It's a Friday, so happy Friday. It's February 23rd. It's Rod with Power Group. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews, all home to the best MJ community. We're going to be discussing Germany legalizing MJ. We're going to discuss this news that just came out today and what exactly it means, what exactly we're going to be expecting over the next few months and couple of years. And it's going to be a two-stage approach. So we'll discuss all of this and more. And we also had some press releases from Tilray and High Tide as well, complimenting and celebrating this monumental achievement. Before we get to it, though, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me and the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff, and you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. Also, you can give us a follow over on X, which is formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. And also, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment and informational purposes only. You should never ever buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or anything that I write. So I'm not going to go over all of this article, but I did highlight some key points that I want to go through and just kind of give you the bird's eye view. So we'll go over this high-level overview. Germany's quasi-legalization MJ law was approved and medical boost is expected. So Germany's chief legislative body on Friday today approved a landmark recreational MJ bill that's being simultaneously hailed as a generational milestone and quasi-legalization because the new law stops short of implementing a framework for the distribution and retail sale of adult use products. So again, they're going to be taking a two-step approach to this. The law, and if you remember Canada did a kind of a two-step approach. It did, it was MJ 1.0, so they did flower, and then eventually a year later, edibles came, that type of thing. So they're, and vapes and things like that. So MJ Products 2.0, and it's very similar to Canadian kind of framework, but they're just being a little bit more cautious and slow with the rollout because of some of the feedback they got from the European Union. The law approved in the Bundestag was 407 to 226 vote, and it generally decriminalizes MJ, allows for home growing, and lays the legal groundwork for so-called cultivation social clubs, nonprofit organizations where members can acquire MJ for recreational use. The law is expected to go into effect April 1st, but it still needs to be read in the Bundesrat, the upper house of parliament. The Bundesrat will examine the bill, but its consent, which is different from approval, is not required. If the upper house convenes the mediation committee, however, meeting the April deadline is less likely. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that. The law is being called as quasi-legislation because it maintains a general prohibition on recreational MJ with some exceptions. Possession of MJ will remain illegal with the following exceptions: the possession of up to 25 grams in public and 50 grams at home. The private cultivation of up to 3 plants at home. So Canadians can do 4 plants, and we can possess up to, 30 grams. Adults will be allowed to grow MJ in social clubs together. Members will be entitled to up to 50 grams per month from MJ clubs. The law that the central legislative body passed Friday is significantly watered down from the original plan. Germany had intended to fully legalize MJ, but lawmakers decided on a lighter two-pillar approach after running into resistance from the European Commission, the European Union's executive branch. The timing of the second pillar isn't completely clear, but it would focus on regional pilot projects with commercial supply chains. So this is going to be great for, your High Tides of the world and, Tilray, that type of thing, where it's for profit, right? So biggest winners, medical companies and patients. Medical MJ in Germany will no longer require a narcotic prescription form. Standard prescriptions will be sufficient. So that simplifies things for doctors, but also for the supply chain. That means it's going to be easier to prescribe MJ. And then scrolling down here, next country to legalize. So some experts are warning against expectations of MJ legalization wave across Europe in the near term. They cite several factors, including upcoming European Union elections, which might tilt toward conservative parties, historically not aligned with MJ reform. Most of the countries closest to legalizing MJ already are locked into multi-year pilot programs, some of which are recently just starting. Meaningful reform is unlikely until these pilot programs run their course. So we're talking about a couple of years more likely. Germany isn't always a bellwether for European public policy, and no country to date has followed Canada's lead after it fully legalized MJ in 2018. We're now over 5 years young here in Canada, which is my home country and where I reside. Still, the walls of prohibition are crumbling outside of North America, if slowly. Recent examples of notable adult use liberalization include Switzerland launched its recreational MJ pilot program in spring of 2023. The Czech Republic is moving ahead with its new MJ policy. Malta opened its first recreational MJ club, and the Netherlands kicked off its cultivation and distribution pilot program in December. We know that we also had President Zelensky signing into law medical MJ as well there in Ukraine. So this is great to see. Again, game theory playing out. The more countries that embrace it, it's just going to be the dominoes falling, right? More countries, more states. Eventually, the U.S. will be forced to. Eventually, the more countries. Eventually, more countries will be forced to, right? It's just game theory playing out. And truly something that we're only going to ever see happen once, right? We can only see this amazing plant and medicine of the future legalized globally once. So this is truly a generational, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And then we had an article here from Tilray. So Tilray Medical applauds German Bundestag and landmark passage of Medical MJ Act in Germany. So Tilray Medical, division of Tilray, a global leader in medical MJ, enthusiastically welcomes the opening of German medical MJ market and positive paradigm shift in German drug policy. So obviously Tilray going to be probably the biggest beneficiary of German legalization. We know that Curaleaf is big into Germany as well. You can see Boris Jordan always tweeting about it. And then we also have names like High Tide, which should do well in the second pillar. And then, you know, we have names, other names as well, just to name a few. You got Organogram, Kronos, Aurora, right, which is very big on medical now. That seems to be their focal point. So, yeah, this is huge for Tilray, but I would say Tilray is probably going to be the biggest in terms of market share. So today's landmark passage of German Medical MJ Act represents a significant step forward and puts public health in the spotlight while providing patients with easier access to high-quality MJ medicines produced in Germany. Tilray's Medical Chief Strategy Officer and Head of International, Denise Faltacek, comments, the decision to open up the previously limited German medical MJ market is an important step that will allow patients and physicians to explore effective treatments options tailored to individual needs, facilitating access to the highest quality MJ medicines through the new the Medical MJ Act produced in Germany. This will help to improve patient care and provide patients with a wider range of treatment options. Tilray Medical looks forward to working with numerous partners to utilize the production capacity at Tilray's state-of-the-art New Munster site, which is one of the only 3 MJ cultivation facilities located in Germany, in order to ensure that patients have improved access to highest quality MJ medicines grown in Germany. As a leader in the field of medical MJ research and production, Tilray Medical strongly believes that these developments will have a positive impact on the health and well-being of many patients in Germany. We look forward to exploring the path opened by the German government and all stakeholders in promoting improved access to medical MJ and the opportunity to optimize care for our patients. So full disclosure, I do own Tilray and High Tide. High Tide had another article. High Tide welcomes passage of first pillar of Germany's MJ legalization plan. And I think that this complements each other very well, right? Like Tilray's a big producer. They're the number one in terms of market share. And then High Tide is the largest non-franchise retailer in Canada. And they have number one market share in terms of retail, right? So Tilray focused, it's a producer, right? It doesn't actually do any retail. So I think they're going to complement. If you go into a High Tide Canna Cabana store, it's basically all Tilray. The beverage fridge is all Tilray. I would say 80, 90% plus of it, at least, sometimes 100%. And then we also know that, you know, they have tons of other products, their flour, their vapes. There's so many other edibles and things like that as well. It's insane to see how many Tilray products are actually in a Canna Cabana or a High Tide store now. So like I said, these companies are going to be working hand in hand, right? Because if High Tide is selling, they complement each other, right? They're going to be relying, if Tilray is number one in market share in terms of, you know, a producer, and then High Tide's number one in market share in terms of retailer, well, who do you think they're going to want? Whose products do you think they're going to want to sell, right? They're just going to benefit each other greatly. And these are 2 of my biggest MJ holdings. Check out my MJ Holdings portfolio 2024 update with percentage breakdown. I go over my entire MJ portfolio with the percentages in my portfolio, how they make up my portfolio. So the article here from High Tide. So obviously Tilray Medical is going to benefit right off the bat from this first pillar, but the second pillar is going to be more where the High Tide start to come into play, right? Because it's going to be more for profit. So we'll go over their article here. So today they welcomed the vote in German parliament to approve a bill making Germany the second G7 country to allow the consumption and private cultivation of MJ for recreational purposes by adults. Today's vote sets the stage for Germany to begin implementing Pillar 1 of its legalization plan, which will see possession and cultivation for personal use permitted by April 1st of this year, and not-for-profit social clubs begin operation as of July 1st of this year. The German government has indicated that it will now begin to work on a draft law related to Pillar 2 of its legalization plan, focusing on regional adult use pilot projects supported by commercial supply chains and for-profit MJ specialty stores, right, which would obviously benefit the high tides of the world. We are very excited about the potential to bring our first of its kind innovative discount club model to Germany, which is the world's third largest economy and country with a population of 83 million. That's why our team has been, which is basically double of Canada, right? That's why our team has been closely monitoring legislative developments in Germany ever since the ruling coalition government indicated its desire to move towards adult use legalization in December 2021, said Raj Grover, founder and CEO of High Tide. The passage of this bill is a historic moment as it makes Germany the second G7 country to legalize the consumption and private cultivation of MJ for recreational purposes by adults, and sets the stage for the government to move forward with the second pillar of its plan, which aims to set up regional adult use pilot projects focused on MJ specialty shops. Our intention is to capitalize on this opportunity, given our deep experience and success through our unique and differentiated retail model that we will seek to replicate in Germany as soon as legislation allows, added Mr. Grover. So I'm very bullish on High Tide long term. It was one of the leaders today in terms of Canadian MJ. It was up over 5%, closed the day just under 6%. And then we also had US MJ with some names, AYR, True Leave, seeing the most gains today, up double digits. So this is huge. We didn't really see much movement from Tilray. Tilray is actually right at key weekly support. It did lose 175. Next support is at 161. That is the must hold. And we're looking to change monthly trends. But in my opinion, price is not indicative of the value of a company right now. We know that the valuations right now in MJ are just out to lunch. They don't make any sense. With Germany set to come online, safer banking in the U.S. potentially, rescheduling to Schedule 3 potentially in the U.S., uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ. We have Florida potentially going to be adult use in 2025. Pennsylvania coming online. There's the MJ Act up for review here in Canada with an expected update for a spring release. We could see improvements to, packaging, labeling, distribution, marketing. We could see advertising. I don't think that's going to happen right away, but that's something that we know has to happen. And then obviously improvements to excise taxes as well, right? And we know that the Canadian government said that they're on board with supporting the MJ industry. It's time for them to start supporting it. And there's been a lot of, creditor protection filings and bankruptcy filings lately in Canada. So that's only going to motivate them to start to kind of ease restrictions and pass some laws and improvements to the regs so that we can see companies start to thrive more. But, in my opinion, as we start to, kind of push out some of these companies in Canada, that's only going to make the companies that end up surviving stronger, right? Because we're going to see them just completely dominate the market, right? There's oversaturation at the moment. So in my opinion, there's so many growth catalysts ahead. It's never been a more exciting time to be an MJ, even though the price isn't really reflecting it. But as we know, it won't stay that way forever, and this is just a way for us to accumulate even more shares at absurdly low prices. So we just have to change our mindset. As I mentioned, this is medicine of the future, and this is only ever going to happen once, full-blown legalization at the global level, and I'm here for it. Going into there, it's Rod with Power Group. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. Happy Friday. Hope you have a fantastic weekend ahead, and we'll see you again on the next video.